for illumined life to be birthed into form. I am the truth. I am the light. Illumined, beloved divine.
So hello there everyone, and welcome to this video update with me here today. This will be another grand mission update. As you know, I've been following through the illumined mission team Ascension, Creation, Liberation program of the Divine Dispensation of Illumined Light. So those of you who don't know, this work has been all about building this portal. And last month, if you remember, if you recall, there was this guidance coming through about grand finale, right? So this time, as I was doing some work that I'm going to be talking about a little later, the words coming through were about the work we're doing right now, and specifically there was this guidance coming through as the grand opening. So my mission team came quite uplifted with good news. They actually announced themselves saying, we have good news. One evening when I was doing my liberation and dissolution of all these, implants and arcanic grid designs and, frequency distortions, manipulations, that's when they usually come in when I do the work of breakthrough. So they actually said, we have good news, we finally fully reclaimed our portal back. And those of you who don't know me and my work, our work together with my illumined elder team, these are very advanced beings. Well, we are very old beings in this universe. And the work that we do has to do mostly with liberation, as you know. I've explained in the previous video update, not a lot of people watched it, so I won't repeat the things. Go and watch the previous 2 videos about this, because each month I'm doing a continuation of the mission update, as well as the work I do on Patreon is also a continuation work, right? So, as you know, my essence work, everyone in creation is different. Everyone's purpose, who is a light being, is much different. My purpose, as was revealed to me many years ago when I first moved to these Alps, was that I'm a creation pillar. And a while later it was explained what this is, and I also shared about this. I made videos, I did automatic writing, I did channel information. It's all in my Elohim MP3 audio series. These are channeled creation materials which explain in overall these principles of creation and how they're being expressed from the grand design perspective, picture of life as Holy Spirit, as God. So, we follow the dispensations of light that come directly through God. Our beings, we're very close to the nature of what God is. So that means everything we do, we follow with the instructions of God that come through the language of divine life force of God. So basically, the work we've been doing on this planet with the whole liberation of these gateways, as explained in the previous video, there weren't any illumined ascensions on this planet. It was like on and off situations occurring, and it was very encircled experience, very limited experience that most of the souls kept on having in this realm. I'm not just talking about the younger soul types, but also the star-linked family, or the star beings who've been coming to this planet for eons of time. So I've explained that due to the work of the net, the grid design, the implementation of a very almost like sonic wave distortion frequency, which is this distorted WAM frequency around our planet, creating this distortion known as the bubble or the dome, right? We couldn't have ascensions occurring. So our team, you have to know, creation pillars are portal makers. We create portals with our advanced dispensations of illumined light understanding, and through galactic pulsar of light illumined technology, which is an inorganic principle of light, and dispensation of particles that come through liquid light, discharge and dispensation work. So we've been doing this work for many years, and it was, they never give me timing or timelines even for ascension. They give me stages of our mission. They gave me stages or phases of the mission where we're currently at and what's the current work we're doing. Like in the last 2 videos, I explained about the dome frequency and the work we've been doing and breaking through that frequency-wise. Everything we do, as I explained before, I experience and feel in my own body. So they would just give me a sentence or a phrase or two, and then I have to elaborate on it. I have to myself expand on it, because as I've explained before, my spirit of Aurea is this advanced light being who, works through my body. So you have to know, advanced beings, we don't see bodies as just vehicles of having an experience in this realm or that realm. We see bodies as vehicles for ascension. That's the protocol of understanding for illumined beings. So there's always an opportunity to create ascension portals of light. So each ascension of each being creates a massive dispensation of this discharge of that light. But this was not happening on this planet. As you know, in this realm, things were very stagnant. So our team was building this portal of ascension, which, many illumined beings are co-creating with this divine plan. It's not just our team, but we have a very specific mission in this work. And that's why when I explained the ascension dynamics, I also explained to you that me as Aurea's embodiment, I will have to go first to test the portal. So they came to me with the words, the grand opening. But before that, they explained to me that we finally have our lumen light portal of ascension finally free of dark hijacking. Because if you remember, the transgression years did not just do work on me, right, is in my human embodiment. So they were actually attacking through spiritual warfare this embodiment of Aurea's, which, Aurea calls my body, my embodiment, her child, right? When she stands up for this body, she will always say to these divine sinners, she will call them, out, and she will say, not my body, not my child, no more. And so basically this transgression did not just affect me and my physicality, but it affected our entire plan and our entire portal. That's why it was difficult for me through those years, to connect directly. And even the communication I had with my essence beloved, as you know, I explained his essence name is Aureon. I couldn't communicate with him directly because there was this interjection. So these illuminators, who are almost like divine healers and light, I don't want to call them surgeons because they're not really like that, but they're really fantastic beings. So they were kind of bringing through the messages of communication through almost like in a distilled format, because there was so much hijacking present, so much listening, and we did everything in our power for them to not take these plans away. Okay, so for me to receive these words and about the grand opening, this was beautiful, because they explained to me that there's very still tiny amount, as I explained before, souls who are actually at this point, even if they're star beings who have more of an advanced experience and understanding of themselves as who they are, they still haven't mostly begun the more advanced level that actually gets you to ascend. First and foremost, one of the preliminary factors which makes you aware that you are ready to ascend is you find disillusionment, disenchantment with this realm. It's almost like nothing of this physical material realm brings you the kind of fulfillment that maybe before it brought you that fulfillment. It's like things will just no longer feel the same. Like for me, always my example is hiking those mountains for so many years, and even climbing and all these things I did as a physical human. But the more I'm progressing and advancing in my ascension, it's just me in this work. It's just me. And it's like every day I have to stand up to this work. I have to be really prepared. I have to be vigilant, because this is an ongoing continuation of the devotion work I have to do. Because in this realm, as you know, everyone is hooked. Everyone is linked within a specific, with specific entanglements and hooks into something that does not provide them to be fully sovereign. So these advanced tools for ascension, like things that we need to build our infrastructure within the body first in order to even be able to ascend, is most beings have not even started to do. When you go online and people would give you these videos, Merkaba activation or light body activation, you can't watch a video or a meditation and do an activation. This is activated from within yourself through light propulsion when you actually start working with the dynamics of life force cultivation and mastery practices. One of the basic video courses I created a while back, years back, was Tantrika Life Force Mastery Practice. Not a lot of people through the years actually took the course, which is basically the preliminary work before all the advancement work. Then it's the cosmic orgasmic mastery. You have to be aware that the dark actually prevents us in so many ways from experiencing the bliss and the discharge and the power of cosmic intelligence that comes through orgasmic life force cultivation, because it's so powerful. And even in my own practice, I will often experience, when I know it's my time to do the orgasmic cultivation and discharge, I will often be very disturbed and distracted, because that's how the darkness works. These archonic thought forms are constantly penetrating our field if we're not doing the work constantly. It's not like you get activated and then you're fine. I keep reiterating that guidance for the past few months, and I'm not sure how many people are hearing it, that this is work, and we are in a war zone. This is spiritual warfare wherever you look around, and it's not just guaranteed. There's very few beings such as myself whose ascension is already guaranteed, but even with that guarantee coming directly from God, we have to do the work. And this is not because I earned it or because my mission is in a way I did so much work. No, this is because of the nature of who I am. As Tantrika beings, we are the purest embodiments of Divine Trinity, and that Divine Trinity is a natural protection. It's like divine protection of simply embodying the perfection of God. It's not because I'm better or, more skilled than someone else. But in that notion of what I embody, we are more advanced and more skilled, the majority of people. But this is not to say we're better than others. It means we're here to bring the knowledge, how to progress with these ascension protocols that my team is sharing through me, that I'm teaching on Patreon, which are upgrades to the basic life force mastery cultivation work and the orgasmic practice. So these works have now been completely discharged through me. They've been coming through the past few months, and I finally was able to do the entire spiral ascension practices protocol, because you need to learn how to build the infrastructure within the body. You need to know how to work with the spiral, with the golden spiral of the Christ, with life force propulsion, with the Merkaba, with the light body intelligence. You need to understand how the energies exchange dynamically with the prismatic light of the prismatic inner suns, which are central suns, and the grand central sun of all life. You can call it divine intelligence when God moves into life. You can call these aspects the Great Father, the Great Mother, and the Holy Child that is the Christ. But all these things you need to know how to work with and do it daily in a daily practice. We all have days when we don't feel good or we don't want to do the work, but the next time you have to pick yourself up and do the work. My work is not routine-based at all. You have to be aware that when I do the work, this is heavy work that I don't do just for myself and my ascension. I came here to help and assist the ascension of many beings who are still so highly hooked into the synthetic reality that they're not even aware that this requires work, and they don't know where to begin, or they're lazy or nonchalant, or they always feel not ready, but eventually you have to take the plunge or start somewhere. But this work that I do, because it's so much for the whole group of these beings, is sometimes so intense that it does create difficulties in my body, and my body gets depleted and heavily overburdened and overwhelmed. So for me, it's like I do a little bit of that routine. I come to a certain climax, I do a specific release, and then it starts again. And each time I'm at the zero null point, I have to start from scratch and again and again. But each time I'm at a different level of that vitality upgrade and frequency. So each time I rise higher, I get more disenchanted with this realm. I feel less and less entangled with these specific falsehoods, like many beings who are not their soul desires to ascend. They desire to create this experience, because ascension is something you create in your body. It's not something that comes outside of you. You create it, and this is your ticket to advancement of your star being, and not just being a star seed, but learning how to ascend and thus joining the family of illumined light beings. And so this is very desired, very required, not just because what's happening on this planet, but because the mass of illumined light beings always requires more beings to come and join and be aware that this realm is just an experience. It's not a reality. For advanced beings like myself, we just come here to do the work. Nothing else is really important. Everything feels trivial to us. And people who get so, into what this world is about, they're still not ready for ascension. And many beings, also star beings, who have these hooks, entanglements, some of the false beliefs that prevent him to start truly ascending and doing the embodiment work, that's basically the basic priority for ascending, is they get sidetracked with these false beliefs like, you know, we're needing to rescue the planet, save the planet. I've talked about this before, right? And how we're doing this Gaia's ascension. No, ascension is an individuated, embodied process. It's an individual experience. And yet at this point, because there's like the shift in timelines entirely, and there's an opportunity, and the illumined beings have created this portal opening for many, you know, there's such an opportunity now. It's unprecedented. So those souls who won't take it up this time, they will have to wait quite another cycle, you know. And the work is presented now. The dispensations have been shared. They haven't been shared in this realm for such a long time. And our mission team, we don't just, you know, talk about in general what will happen with ascension. It's like just basic information. Everyone can channel once they get a little awakened. But we do the how-to. We do the manual. We do the protocols. And I share this and teach this, but there's such a lack of interest. It's like people are, you know, their entire fields of some people have been hijacked, and they feel like, oh, you know, it's not for me. And they don't even know that darkness is preventing them from taking the next step. And, you know, we can always find excuses and, well, later, when I feel ready. And, you know, they will never start the work. But the time is now. We are in between the 2021 and 2030 timeline. You know, there's a reason, specific reason why we have Agenda 21 and then Agenda 30. Because these are the years, the in-between years, that the most of this what's it called? Like most of the advantages or opportunities for the ascension are going to occur. While at the same time, we're going to have most disturbances and distractions coming from the dark side, okay? And so all these hooks like, yeah, but you're here needing to take, you know, position in Gaia and do the work. People are not aware that for illumined beings, this is not the place to be. This is not our home. This is not where our service takes place. But because a lot of beings, as I've explained before, are still hooked into this false prism, instead of being and following the prismatic light of prismatic sun course, this is the core lumen intelligence that emanates constantly lumen light. And because we live in a very fragmented dualistic realm, and through magnetic distortions now occurring on our planet, as you know, everything has been, you know, put around, all the codes, shields, whatever, you know, to prevent the full prismatic light to reach us and for us to actually use it to ascend. So it's not such an easy task, as you know. And you need to understand the protocol. So first you need to build the infrastructure in your body through which the light intelligence will come through, right? It's normal. It's like with, you know, any sort of building, right? First you do the foundation, then you do the work, right, of building or whatever. So the first work is building the infrastructure, then understanding how life force cultivation works, increasing the light quotient intelligence, because you require specific light quotient intelligence to even be able to ascend. It's like that liftoff, right? You can't. It's like imagine being heavy and you can't do the liftoff. Also with a lot of beings, because, you know, you need to understand the Merkaba light body work and how this, it's not just, oh yeah, it's the star Merkaba and it's spinning. No, you need to have a clear, deeper understanding that all of that I teach in my spiral work on my Lumen Ascension page. And basically, most people, you wouldn't even know they have very inactive Merkabas. They have very inactive light bodies, and, you know, they watch these videos like 5D and we're going there and it's all being activated by Source. No, you know, Source is bringing this desire within the souls, you know, life force intelligence, like constant encouragement. That's what Source intelligence is. But then each and every being will have to interact with Source, will have to co-create with that Source intelligence, asking them to ascend, okay? And so there's a lot of these false notions, you know, like we are ascending the planet. No, the only body, which is your planetary body, your body, as the vehicle ascension that you are to ascend is your own. And a lot of distortions, like what we need to do here for this planet, no. I've explained over and over again that there is an illumined realm. There was an entire new realm created. I'm going to share more about this today as well. And through this portal of illumined golden light intelligence, right? Remember years back, I was sharing how my team, we're one of those first in line building this golden archway. And this golden archway was like preliminary entrance through the portal, into the portal. So in the work I do, they were telling me even at night, you know, I always go in and out. But they gave me this because now they opened up with the phrase, the grand opening, which of course naturally follows the grand finale guidance, right? They felt pretty satisfied with the work we're able to do for those who are somehow prepared. There's not a lot of beings at this point prepared for ascension. But those very few beings who are, they were telling me, they said because the ascension portal is now ready, prepared, that beings will now receive practice ascension experiences like walkthroughs, like in and out, like learn to walk through and be attuned to its frequencies when we as a group of tantrikas are holding it together and keeping it in place. So that's what our group is doing. So I've shared years ago how creation pillars are portal makers, and it's now just, I feel like, a matter of time. Things from the higher perspective need to come together. You know, they were already telling me a while back that I would be the first to ascend, and when I made these videos this year, I think in winter, about ascension, well, we're in winter again, but you know, the end of last winter, I don't think people really understood the importance of that. And I kept on saying, I'm only here for a very limited amount of time and I won't be here. And I know a lot of people don't believe that, because we're so fixated on this idea that when you're a certain age and then you can live this planet and leave this planet when you're again at a specific age. And this is bogus. This is nonsense. For an advanced being, once your job is done, you're out. Everything else is stagnation. It's stalemate. It causes you, like, you know, unnecessary burden that you're not here to do. So what took place is recently someone of my fellow devotees shared a transmission they actually received themselves through a group of illumined beings they are connected to as their own star lineage ancestors. And it was very interesting and fascinating, because not a lot of times someone, like a fellow comrade devotee, would share something with me, you know, and say, look, this is what I received. You know, a lot of the things they received were very much synonymous with what I'm already explaining here. It goes in parallel. I was more like in general nature and, you know, like how ascension would be occurring. And somehow she shared it with me because she said I was also mentioned as a being. And she mentioned words like, she mentioned something that me as, you know, Aurea, I would have, or I have diplomatic immunity due to the nature of my mission. And my ascension is guaranteed. So no matter what would take place, any sort of intervention by the dark, they're not allowed to prevent me and my walkthrough. The thing is, it's not because I don't see it like a diplomatic community. I have to explain how I am shown through my own illumined being team. They're telling me it's because of the nature of who we are. And when you manage to create a human replica of this immaculate design of life and continue to conceal these seals of life within your body, and a lot of people don't even know what the seals of life are. And this can be easily solved, you know, you're getting to the core of illumined teachings. And now there's so many dispersed teachings that are not really teachings. It's like, you know, getting what, just recently I listened to someone who was more of a Christian, and they were saying, you know, the devil, basically the dark, you know, the Antichrist would always work by, you know, they know that God has an opportunity for you, but they do the kind of work that they interject, and they would give you a false opportunity, and kind of always looks very, you know, pleasing, short pleasing, you know, it's like short term. And at the end, it's not the divine offer we are meant to receive by God. And God does not give like physical satisfaction that most people think, like, I got this and I went there and I met this person. The true nature of God, especially for beings who are to ascend, is to give you opportunities and teachings that would continue to align you, you know, with these frequencies. So that's the nature of what guarantees my ascension, is what I am, or who I am, and what I managed to already embody as Polona, Aurea, her human counterpart. But the bigger picture is quite intense. I think this person shared with me the numbers like 5 to 10% star beings are only now ready for ascension, and that they're hoping that this number would accelerate throughout the years. And it's not like one, you know, event, which I've been talking about for years now. It's like a continuation, and it would like be in the span of these 10 years. But I would say 2030 is that split. It's like the final split, the final deadline. And because this work is quite a work, you know, you can't just start at the very end. At the beginning of this precipice where we're at now, 2021, this is where it began, even for me, right? Aurea 2021, which was the resurrection of Aurea, and finally starting to do this greater group work with my team. And like I said, they would never give me time, like you would ascend there or that would happen. They would give me stages and phases of the mission. And they would give me the exact work we're currently doing. For example, also the work we're doing now. And this is also, the companion was writing to me about the unions coming together now, sacred sexual or hieros gamos unions. And this is now the stage work. And I've shared in my illumined Trinity videos, fourth one, I think there were four. I talked about this, that the last stage of Ascension will be these tantric union cultivation dispensations through the counterparts. And she shared something very similar with me, what she received. And I would say my team at this point, they show me that what we're doing now as a group collective with the illumined elders, we're kind of opening the beloved gateway again, because that was also part of that which was hijacked. And true unions couldn't come together, like these exact equal opposing matches, like we would say a perfect match. It's a frequency based match. It's not based on your interests and superficial or superfluous things. It's really something that only once you understand your own illumined embodiment, you will get an understanding of. So I know a lot of people are mostly focused on meeting their counterpart or being with the counterpart and having that as a goal. But you have to have ascension, your physical ascension as a goal, because the beloved is like that which comes through. It's not first and then, no being can actually ascend even through the what they call the twinning counterparts, right? With the what do you call it, that protocol, right? If you really don't master your own body illumination, that's where it begins, and even with the orgasmic work, when the feminine is doing that work, she's pulling up the energies, and she's also rising up the masculine, because the masculine energy is still so distorted on this planet. And the feminine, when she does the cosmic orgasm cultivation, she assists her counterpart. You don't have to know your counterpart, but a lot of people are this hoping, wishing, praying they would meet this person, and it just takes them away from the work needing to be done now. And basically, it's not going to happen this way. Let me tell you this. As a human being, I can safely assure you that it's not how things work. For a true, lasting counterpart union that is ascension-based and it has a configuration of ascension within it, you have to first understand your own illumined union or body illumination. So, okay, so let me see if I was writing down some important things. You have to also know that, I always go through these mission works we're doing in stages, so it would be very advanced work, and I still am getting these plexus surges, and this is the next thing I want to talk about, what's happening here with the hooks and how they're affecting us. And then they would give me some time to rest, which is, my work or my beingness is very dramatic. It goes from one extreme to the other. So I'm just going to have a full rest for like a few days or a week, and then it's going to be full work nonstop, like from day to evening. I have to be really focused. So it is quite intense. So something else I want to share about beings ascending, because one answer really surprised me, okay? It's what I as Aurea had in mind, because you have to know, illumined elders, we write the plan, we write the ascension plan together with God. We're interdependent, we're embedded in the consciousness of God. This is what illumined beings are. They're not separate even one bit. So when we wrote this illumined plan and how we saw it and how we could actually assist, I was shown that Aurea took care, and she took into what I already explained before in my mission, illumined mission updates, those 4 videos that are on the playlist, is that we also assured a safe passageway of those souls who are, let's say, somehow they got sidetracked along the way, but they would have to be weighed down, like almost like, it was not of their own evil deeds, or they did not like fully go to the dark side, but they became so entangled in these agreements or karmic binds, with what we call the devil, right? That they couldn't move through, and they still kind of can move through. So Aurea made sure, and we checked, I got this guidance, and we had a meditation with Master Jesus, and I wanted to really clear this out, and this is what I received. Aurea surely assured a safe passing of many soul beings, even if only through post-mortem ascension. It's a different kind of ascension than leaving with the body. These beings would not ascend so willingly through their own effort or consciously, but they would be assisted in the process of safe transportation through the portal when the time comes, or be cleansed of karmic leftover debris through the passageway, and only when they would be fully ready, they would move into the new realm. You have to know, this 3D Gaia realm, this is a story. this is like a stimulation, and my family even gave me a word. It's like being here, it's like watching reruns. They said it's like watching reruns. It's not exactly the same thing as saying, okay, this planet has it fully gone bogus and it's constantly looping. They said no, but it's just like, it's like, you know, Groundhog Day. It's like, it's not much change, because it's a lot of this, what we're living and experiencing is a simulation. And the moment you wake up from it, it's like you get disillusioned. Nothing fascinates you in the same way anymore, because you realize you really awoke. Because when people say they're awake and they still get so fascinated about the material and preserving, you know, keeping this and that, they're maintaining this illusion. This is not our home. It's no one's home, actually. It was an experience created for the growth and advancement of many souls. But as you know, it got so heavily distorted along the way that most forgot what it is, and they got so attached to this plane of reality. But it's just a realm that served a certain experience, and beings who are ready to become more illumined in who they are, they need to remember that their skills are needed at the more higher level, let's say, than just being here and, you know, eating food, watching movies, going to walks. These are beautiful things to experience once, twice, that's it. But to continue looping in that, you're actually wasting your divine potential. For those beings who are starborn beings, and, you know, somehow many of them are still hooked and they can see and can move past through this. So I'm actually really proud to announce that the entire spiral work is finally now on Patreon this month. I've put it all out there. It's the basic spiral work that we already did in October, I think, in September-October timeline. And now it's the trinity of the spiral work, because it's the father spiral, the mother spiral, and the union spiral, right? The Christ child within. And the next level I also did is Ascension shielding and frequency work, which is like, you know, building through the dome, and it's working with the platinum light. It's working with the pulsar. Finally, you're going to learn more about the pulsar illumined technology of light particle dispensation and exchange, because you're actually also, you're actually dismantling the old dense particles and the new ones directly coming from the prismatic light of the central sun are coming into your body. And you have to understand the basic Merkaba work and basically the interflow, interplay within your body. So most of the people don't even have a steady flow of life force through their bodies. Their light bodies are inactive. And no matter what kind of being you are, you know, when you don't work on this, it becomes like no life force goes into it. Imagine like something beautiful, but you just leave it there deserted. Will it grow and beautify and amplify? No, because whatever you've created, right, we're continuously needing to pour life into it. Remember that Christ said, and I've shared this guidance with you before, that the Christ, the cosmic Christ, is an active principle that needs to be used constantly. Like for me, you know, that example, my ascension is guaranteed. Do you see me lying in my bed, throwing my feet up in the air? It's very hard for me to do that because I don't feel relaxed most of the time, because such energies are going through my body that I need a lot of time and energy work to get like even the slightest relaxed. And then again, and on we go, and it's like a Disneyland, right, for me. Okay, so I want to also share something more about what they've shared with me about the new realm. Okay, one thing I would say, when they were showing me, well, Jesus Christ came in and he explained, he said, only because I wanted to know how this is so. For example, okay, I don't want to quick fast forward, but I know someone like this, for example, who is not ill-intended, is not a bad person, but somehow they're very hooked into this dark, and they're not the same as they were, you know, in the beginning of this life. And sometimes what I was shown through God about this particular example with this being, darkness came in, and it's kind of like they deceived the person and tricked them into a bad action, but it was like only once. But after that, you know, a lot of souls feel that guilt, and they will close down and they would close off, almost like this shell, and that gives them the affinity to become more and more gray if they stop flowing with the light intelligence of God. And they would like close off even more and more, which, you know, when your points of vulnerability come in, this is where the darkness hijacks you, right? It's being vulnerable and having these patterns and insecurities. That's when they get us, because these things have not yet been fully illuminated, right, with the light of God. And so I was really surprised when they were giving me answers that even those, because I asked, will they stay here in this 3D on Earth? Which, remember before I shared, 3D will not be the same 3D as we know it now. It will densify, it will get very, very heavy. And they said, no, they won't. And then we had a conversation with Master Jesus the Christ, and he said only illumined, very advanced beings such as Aurea, he said, are capable of doing that and creating passageways for others as well. So remember back in the days when I shared this information, that there was many pleas we had to do within the God consciousness for many souls that we saw as, you know, viable for this, and they were kind of in between. They were in the gray zone, and somehow we pleaded for them, and we kind of helped to uplift them. And even if what my family said, they wouldn't do any real major shifting for now, there's something occurring within their light field that would take maybe for them a little longer, but it would get them to a stage of giving the proper boost to, even though, you know, like we would say, well, but they created this and they're in this locked in frequency and they're being heavily hooked, you know, like these hooks and claws go into these people. And the reason why they are as they are is not always, you have to know that people are people because they are like such and such. A lot of the majority of the reason, and it's not an excuse as well, well, I'm like this because of darkness. No, because everyone can be conscious and increase their intelligence and wake up from that and start working on becoming more refined and pure and intelligent. Because you have levels, right, of purity. There's purity, and then there's immaculate state, which is even beyond the level of purity. Okay? And me and my family of light, we're immaculate beings. That's why we can present you teachings and you know, things that are really pure in nature. They don't have any debris, any agenda within it. It's just immaculate. Like, this is God's work. Are you willing to take the chance or not? Okay, you know. But a lot of these beings, they feel like they would, but they can't. They're always pulled back. They're always pulled back because they have these hooks and claws within them, and these demonic possessive beings, right? They're still holding them. And what this person who gave me insight into their transmission shared, that a lot of these contracts with the devil would be nullified due to the work of many advanced light beings, and it's exactly the work we've been doing. So this kind of, right, this was same resonance. So they were telling me that this is exactly how it's done. And I was shown, we were shown actually this kind of like plan, and you know, underneath was like PS, like postscript and fine print. And they said, well, Aurea really, really looked the entire picture. Like, she did not want to miss out one thing. That's her nature. That's my nature as her embodiment, as her child in the flesh. And I think it's really beautiful, because I was crying when I got that guidance, because I felt the love behind it, because I felt a lot of these beings will just not move into the new. And why, you know? And it's difficult. And as a human, portion of me did not understand that, but they explained it pretty well. Okay, so remember again when they said that this would be the most unprecedented spectacle of light that this realm has ever seen. It's because never as much liftoff and dispensation has been offered, but at the same time, that which is not illumined, right, which the illumined elders offer, is also creating never as much confusion and distortion as before as well. So it's both an equal reciprocity or divine equanimity at this point. It's just either what will you take, this or that. So, for example, if you really want to start doing the work, you know, start at the basics, you know, get the Life Force Mastery course, practice Orgasmic Mastery, or, you know, join Patreon, because at the advanced level, this work continues. For example, next month as a continuation work, now I'm going to be doing a continuation of the spiral work. It's going to be all encompassing. So each month we're going to delve into a new layer or aspect of this light intelligent work that's a part of our embodiment. And I explain a lot in the first 3 of these videos, and this next month, which also is our new year, will be an advancement about how to then use this light illumined technology, organic intelligence within the body, to unhook, you know, and what's corded within us, and through an umbilical cord, through which we receive our first breath of life through our mother, and all these things we're going to do next month. So those of you who are already there, you will know that, and those of you who are thinking of joining, you know, I would not even think about it, because it's such a minimum exchange. It's just people don't want to do the work, you know, they want to get information. You know, I'm sometimes so amazed how much people would pay for a reading, because people in this realm are always thinking that someone else will give you something about you and information, or do a work for you, do healing on you. It doesn't really work. Once you want to be a sovereign, illuminedly illumined intelligent being, this will stop working. And it's almost like whenever you're going to try to create a shortcut for yourself, it won't work because you somehow already accessed the ascension timeline for yourself, and your spirit wants that to be fed, not that nonchalant, passive observation and no action, no light activity in the body. So that will continue next month. I will also do, I already did, I do each month a Lumen Beloved reading, but I'm going to do one for solstice. We're going to do another check-in insight. And yes, they explained that now we're doing this work with opening the door to the beloved gateway, because this was one of the most distorted aspects. And on this plane, although people talk about twin flames a lot, it's all just one big scam, because, you know, in no right, this distorted realm, this matrix would allow for these true companion counterparts of high intelligence, these star beings, to join once again. So there's a lot of these false twin like implants and beliefs and hooks that people who are still somehow attached, even if you're attached to a specific part of sexuality, like I knew a person who, instead of really waking up to who I am and how I can assist them, they kind of projected this sexual aspect into me, and it kind of blocked them from actually receiving the blessing from me, from receiving the divine Shaktipat, or like a transmission, emanation of my light intelligence onto them. And there was even a point in time when I said, I have this gift for you and I'm willing to give it to you for free, because that's what I received. Are you willing to take it? And I never got any response. And actually it was very much like that, like whatever, it's like people do not see because they're just so veiled. It's like one veil after the other. So when you start your true ascending process, you're going to see each time you're going to expand a little wider beyond the matrix. You're going to get more trying to clash against you, until you really liberate from all these layers, because it is a layering kind of work. And so it's like really leaving me sad at times, because I'm thinking so many beings are presented with these gifts for free, and they just wouldn't react. And it's because something within them hooks them so much to this old and debris and heavy and dense, and basically it's not who we truly are. It's not God intelligence. Okay, so going and moving on to the new realm. They gave me this guidance because I asked. They said, if you imagine, they said, the new realm, which is where you move through the portal of ascension, of lumen light, will be like a union of worlds. It's a new thing. This new realm it's like a divine gift for these beings. What I felt incoming, it's like gifts. It's like an intermediary stage, because not everyone is ready to ascend from this realm. It's still a realm. It's a very physical realm, and walk through directly into just being this, liquid light plasmic being. It's like a shock, because a lot of these beings were on this plane of reality, even with them being star beings for a very long time, like revolving around the planetary sphere of existence. So they said this realm will be like an opportunity of being a union of worlds based on almost like what we call biodiversity, consisting of the strongest or the fittest of Earth experienced, trained, right, cultivated, cultured, and skilled individuals, who will then begin to conjure up and create the overlay realm, or the illumined aspect of Gaia, or the first illumined council of Gaia, because I did that in my multidimensional ascension course. I taught about illumined councils and how they come into being, and this course is still on my webpage, of course. But it's like, just in a nutshell, to have a little bit of that feeling into what it is. It's like walking into an experience. It's like the best of both worlds, or both realms of our lumen nature, and what we would still say, oh, this is a world where I can have an experience, right, and smell and feel and touch. And they said, or the first illumined council of Gaia, which will be formed via divine plan agreements that will sustain the primary of divine holy trinity of life as God, sovereign soul individuals that will be forming it. So these beings will walk step fully into divine trinity of life. And then many to follow up and join in times to come, as many more physical illumined sessions are created via tantric twin polarized aspects. The tantric twins are a necessary polarity. This is a polarity. It's not a person. You have to understand that. It's an essence. that matches yours completely. So it's a necessary polarity that begins the proper illumined Merkaba spin, and are hence the vital part of organic ascension as the illumined intelligence of the sacred union, or Hieros Gamos. And even when the person shared their transmission with me, they said now that we're working, like collective beings is working on these unions to come together. But of course, there's still a lot of unhealed and wounded or unhooked aspects, especially with the masculines. Yeah, so I'm really excited to receive this, that Aurea wrote the Ascension plan so perfectly with her Lumen team directly through God's sovereign intelligence, and that she thought of simply everything, every fine and detailed print, postscript, and so on. For example, what occurs for souls who are such and such, yeah, during this grand plan experience. Someone coming. And only divine higher intelligence like her is capable of this, lifting up even the most hijack individuals and realms, which for me was very beautiful to receive this information. So I won't continue because I think something's happening here. Someone came. Maybe it's for us. We're expecting someone to come and deliver something. I want to next talk about the work of the hooking, right? What holds us through these hooking agreements, but I will leave that for the next video, maybe coming here. But this work will definitely be done on Patreon next month. So for now, I will leave it here to not make it too long. Go and get your ticket for Ascension, which, starts with your own inner illumined work. So I'll see you in the next video. As always, with so much love, wisdom, and power. Take care, and I'll be seeing you.